Payback.
Yeah, he's been a lot quieter during the day because he wears his headphones. He's actually awake right now. I can tell because he's not yelling the same stuff he yells when he's asleep. There was a guy named Zach Richmond once. He made the mistake of believing that my YouTube channel is for venting. My YouTube channel is for telling. I'm stuck between two worlds. The you need to go to the cops about everything world that many of you American princesses hold so dear. And then I also live in the real world where there's poverty and bias and maybe even some rotten lunch meat. That's a princess complaint, isn't it? That they don't have the best lunch meat at your school. For some of you, it's that they serve meat at all. Meanwhile, there's children in your school that are going home every day to an alcoholic father who's raping them, or an alcoholic mother who's beating them. What do these kids have to look forward to? A life like mine. A life of inhumanity, cruelty, and death. A life of being victimized and told it's your fault. I don't do the drugs that the homeless do, so I don't fit in with the homeless. But I'm homeless, so I don't fit in with the rest of you either. Doesn't matter what I go through, I'm not human enough for you to give a shit. The picture on the front of this is one of my predators. Public pretender. Benjamin something booger. Fish booger, that's what it is. Fishberg, not fish booger. My most sincere apologies. I knew it was something like that, though. No such thing as getting sleep at night. I'm always in a subservient environment. Usually stuck with either an alcoholic or a meth addict in charge of everything. Shannon Alvarado's, it was alcohol. Brett Roloff's, it was meth. Atlanta Ingeline's, it was pot. Atlanta and Amanda Ingeline. Before you go saying pot's not a drug, I agree with you. I really do. Only when you compare it to cocaine, meth, or Tylenol. When it comes to the long-term effects of marijuana, how much are you fucking using? What do you mean long-term effects? How much pot are you smoking in order to have long-term effects? Although I read the long-term effects of marijuana consumption versus the long-term effects of Tylenol consumption, you're a lot more likely to die from consuming Tylenol. Now, if you smoke marijuana, that increases your chances of dying of smoke inhalation, so don't be stupid. When you say ignorant shit like marijuana prevents you from getting cancer, keep in mind that the president of the Colorado National Organization for Marijuana Reform, or National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, his name was Jeff Mitchell, and guess what he fucking died of? Cancer. That's right. How did he consume his pot? He smoked it. Guess what happens if you smoke Tylenol? Hell, we can look that one up, can't we? Let's do that right now. Effects of acetaminophen on oxidant and irritant. The goal of this study was to determine if acetaminophen induces respiratory tract oxidative stress and or potentiates the oxidative stress in irritant. Huh. Oh, here's a good one. How many grams of Tylenol is toxic? In adults, an acute ingestion of more than 150 milligrams per kilogram or 12 grams of acetaminophen is considered a toxic dose and poses a high risk of liver damage. In children, acute ingestion of 250 milligrams per kilogram or more poses significant risk of acetaminophen-induced hepatotoxicity. It's quite a word. Consuming more than 4,000 milligrams in a 24-hour period is considered an overdose, while ingesting more than 7,000 milligrams can lead to a severe overdose reaction unless treated promptly. For children, the amount that is considered an overdose depends on their age and body weight. Symptoms of acetaminophen overdose may include nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, confusion, and jaundice. That's yellow skin and eyes. Some people may. Well, apparently they don't have any studies on what happens if you smoke Tylenol. But we do apparently have studies on what happens if you eat bath salts or Tide Pods. Yeah. Well, you guys are going, man. Yeah, we get it. No, you don't. Because somewhere out there right now, there's some motherfucker trying to smoke a Tide Pod. There's some idiot out there somewhere in the world right now, this very moment, trying to smoke a rubber band. And there are people all over the United States right this moment smoking little pieces of quartz they found on their floor. Yeah. Smoking little pieces of salt and sugar they found on the floor. Why are they smoking that shit? Because it looks like fucking meth. I'm glad the yelling stopped. He was beating around something in there and screaming for about 5 minutes before I even decided to start recording. Now, before y'all go trying to accuse me of saying this guy's a bad guy, no, that's not it. The people who keep stealing my cigarettes are stealing all of his pot. It doesn't make him happy. There's situations surrounding this particular scenario that I would like to have some answers to. But at the same time, I'm not allowed any of those answers. There are certain questions I better not ask, because I'm the subservient here. If I stand up for my rights or anybody else's, I understand fully that I may have to deal with the same situation that I dealt with at Brett Roloff's or at Amanda Engelhein's. See, while you're supposed to tell people that you care about, people that claim they care about you, you're supposed to tell them when they hurt you. Tell them that it hurts you and tell them why. Does that ever actually work? Only if they actually care. And most people don't. To most people, you're not a friend. It's kind of like with a lot of those women, you're not in the friend zone. You can't consider it a friend zone unless you're an actual friend. And if she's putting you in the "he only exists when I need something" category, you're not a friend. They say a friend in need is a friend indeed, but if they're only your friend when they're in need, or they're only your friend when things are good, they're not a friend. Now, there is something to be said about having a friend who's in severe need, severe and dire need, and it becoming long term because you didn't care when it made a difference. There are a lot of people who did not intend me harm to begin with, that later on not only intended me harm but did harm me. And they all harm me over the same thing: telling the truth. How dare I? Right? How dare I tell the truth about anyone? Telling the truth is stabbing them in the back. No, it's not. Those friends that threw me away like trash after Natalie was killed are the same idiots whose decisions led to Natalie's death to begin with. It's not that they cared that killed her. It wasn't them not caring that killed her. It was them pretending to care until they realized that I had nothing left for them to take from me that resulted in Natalie Bollinger's death, because all of these people could have listened. All of them. From Kayla Trujillo to Brett Roloff to a lot of other people. They knew that there was something wrong before Natalie was killed, but they were all too selfish to listen. These people who would come to me for help many times, telling me that nobody else would help them. They didn't have anyone else to go to. Well, where are they now? Where are all those people who I helped move out of shitty environments? Where are all those women who I helped get out of shitty situations that promised me if I ever need anything, they'd be there? Where were they? Did they show up to help? No, they didn't. They showed up to do what they wanted and to ignore the laws, then to make up laws when it came to actually doing what they're supposed to as a friend or family. That's the thing that sucks about the mentally ill tag. It strips you of literally every fucking right that you have unless you have a friend or family member who cares. I don't have the money for one of those. I'm told I can get a lawyer. No, lawyers are not going to help out a disabled homeless person. Ever. They're never going to care. Right now I'm feeling pretty good because there's no screaming going on at the moment. I can hear the radio but not screaming. Y'all don't stop to understand what all that screaming does to a person. Shannon Alvarado, what was her excuse for screaming? Oh, I wasn't screaming at you, but she did scream at me. That's why I only brought up her alcoholism twice. The loud music and the screaming is literally every night. Sometimes he beats stuff around, he gets pissed off and just rearranges the furniture. He's trying to improve his life. I'm trying to improve mine, but you know what? I have to have a friend who cares what I'm going through. Not somebody who conceptually understands because they have a like or similar situation that they were in once, or they knew somebody once, or they have a brother or a cousin who's autistic, or an uncle who's autistic. That doesn't mean you understand. What, because you got a black friend, you understand what it's like to be the target of racism? I grew up with black kids. I was the target of plenty of racism. Meanwhile, you want to sell this narrative that only white people can be racist. That only white people ever owned slaves and that only black people were ever slaves. God damn, you guys are listening to the most ignorant people on the fucking planet.